Ella Deloria, in her book Water Lily, talked about how important it is to be a good relative. But not only a good relative between, their family, but a good relative with animals and plants. And, for example, when you get sage, you always want to leave something. Or if you take anything from the earth, you always want to give back. The ceremonies that happen with the buffalo, if we were to kill a buffalo, then we want to make sure that we have a ceremony that buffalo gives its life. And there are stories about even today. I remember when we had NIA in Rapid City, we had a buffalo kill down a Rosebud. And one buffalo, and they always knew which buffalo it was. They prayed that that buffalo would give its spirit. Well, that buffalo moved out from the rest of the group. And so they knew that that was the one that was ready to give up its life. So they killed that buffalo. But when that buffalo died, all the other buffalo came around it and stood around it. And so those are the kinds of stories that we want our children to know about. And so they know that that the animals have that spirit as well, and that they are our relatives as well. And so, you're not like our little kids aren't going out and shooting the birds just for the pleasure of shooting birds. So, those kinds of things are important. And that's what we wanted to make sure that we had written down for them to be included in their learnings. And one of them, too, is that whole idea of hunka, that, just because, you're not because of, but you have your own brothers and sisters, your own family. But you can also have a hunka brother or a hunka sister or a hunka, You can also make relatives, which is just as important and valid as having your own. And so that was important to
The
know.
hunka would be like through marriage. Is that
No. It would be a ceremony. Like if I wanted you to be my sister or my niece, then I would have a ceremony, and it would be called a hunka ceremony, and you became that in my family. And the rest of my family would all treat you that way as well. So that was the one reason that where they talk about making relatives, we thought was important to understand that. Well, if you look at our kinship terms are really complicated. If you haven't grown up using them and you just want to learn them, like me, trying to learn those as I got older, it was really unbelievable that there's a difference between male and female. So that was the first difference. And then you have a difference between whether it's your mother's relatives or your father's relatives. And so the kinship terms indicate the order and how you should relate to that. And I'm sure if you visit with Victor or even Dwayne, will tell you how important it is that to use those terms, because that sets up that relationship. And when you're living in a group, or when you're living in a teepee and it's really close, that you use those terms. And so you treat each other in that way. So that was really important for our children to understand. And that maybe they can start using that. And I was even thinking that, some of our teachers could even use that in the classroom by having a hunka ceremony, and, everyone in that classroom would be related and using those terms. And then there wouldn't be as much fighting and as much maybe stealing from each other or whatever. you know, it would be, I think it would be wonderful, but might design a lesson that way, maybe.
That might be a great one
Yeah.
to